Welcome to episode 25, Subscriptions and Management Groups Hierarchy, where we frame Azure's governance stack as a practical map for control, clarity, and scale. The hierarchy matters because it turns scattered resources into an understandable system with predictable rules. Think of it as nested scopes that let you decide who can do what, where configurations apply, and how costs roll up. We will move from high-level purpose to day-to-day decisions, always asking how structure supports delivery. A small startup and a global enterprise face the same need, guardrails that do not slow teams down. In this episode, you will see how billing, security, and policy flow through scopes cleanly. By the end, you will be able to sketch a governance picture that matches your organization and grows with it. A subscription is first a billing container and also an isolation boundary for services and quotas. It accumulates usage, produces invoices, and limits blast radius for operational risk. Treat each subscription as a separate lane where teams can run without bumping into others. In practice, this means production lives apart from experimentation and regulated data lives apart from general workloads. Subscriptions also simplify incident response because actions and logs are scoped cleanly. A common misconception is that one big subscription is easier. In reality, segmentation pays off in control and clarity. Start by mapping environments and regulatory needs, then place them into distinct subscriptions that match those concerns. Management groups sit above subscriptions to provide aggregated control across many lanes at once. They are folders for governance, not places where resources live. By grouping subscriptions under a management group, you can assign policies, role definitions, and standards one time and inherit them downward. This is useful when different business units share baseline rules like region restrictions, mandatory tags, or security configurations. You can also nest these groups to mirror complex organizations. The value shows up during change. Update the rule at the group, and every child subscription benefits. Start small with a root group and a few logical branches, then expand as your portfolio grows. Mapping organizational structure to hierarchy is less about copying an org chart and more about reflecting decision rights. Put shared, non-negotiable controls near the top so they apply broadly. Place business unit or product-specific rules lower where variation is needed. For example, a central security team might own the root and a platform branch, while product groups each own their branches underneath. Avoid overfitting transient reporting lines. Bureaucracy changes faster than infrastructure. Anchor the map to stable ideas like legal entity, regulatory profile, or lifecycle stage. A helpful test is simple. Can a newcomer understand who owns what after seeing the tree for 2 minutes? Role-based access control, or RBAC, follows the hierarchy through inheritance, but scope still decides power. When you grant a role at a management group, every child subscription and resource group inherits it unless you deliberately scope lower. That makes top-level assignments both useful and dangerous. Use them for core platform roles that truly need broad reach, and prefer narrower scopes for application teams. A common mistake is granting too much at subscription level because it is convenient, then discovering surprising permissions months later. Always ask, what is the smallest scope that works? Clear scoping keeps audits clean and reduces accidental change. Policy assignment from the root downward turns governance into an engine of consistency. A policy can require tags, restrict regions, block risky resource types, or audit configurations against known baselines. Assigning at the root management group creates a shared foundation, while exceptions can be made on lower branches or specific subscriptions. Start with audit effects to observe behavior and reduce friction, then shift to deny or deploy if not exists when teams are ready. Document why an exception exists and when it expires to prevent permanent loopholes. Over time, this structure becomes self-healing, catching drift early and turning one-off rules into repeatable guardrails. Budgeting and cost control work best at the subscription level because invoices and meters align there. Create budgets with thresholds that trigger alerts before spend surprises arrive. Use tags like owner, application, and environment to slice costs and hold teams accountable. Combine budgets with cost anomaly detection and scheduled reviews so finance and engineering speak the same language. A good practice is to pair a budget with an action plan. Who gets notified, what gets paused, and how to decide next steps. When every subscription has a budget and contact, conversations about money become routine rather than emergencies. Clarity beats retroactive forensic work. Quotas and limits define how much capacity a subscription can consume, and they are part of operational planning. Compute cores, public IP addresses, and other resources have ceilings that can be raised by request. Treat these limits as early warning signals rather than roadblocks. Before a major launch, confirm quotas in the intended regions and file increases with time to spare. Keep a small record of past requests and expected peaks so future planning is faster. Teams often assume quotas are automatic. In reality, explicit planning avoids last-minute scrambles. Capacity awareness keeps deployments boring in the best possible way. Separation of development, test, and production across subscriptions reduces risk and clarifies velocity. Developers need freedom to iterate quickly, while production needs stability and strict change control. By isolating environments, you prevent test experiments from affecting live users, and you simplify approvals. Use similar naming, tagging, and policy structures so environments feel familiar while remaining distinct. Where shared services are necessary, treat them as their own subscriptions with clear interfaces. This pattern also helps with incident response because the boundary between experimentation and customer impact is unmistakable. Calm, predictable releases grow from clean separation. Cross-subscription networking and identity are the glue that turns many lanes into one platform. Virtual network peering, shared private endpoints, and centralized firewalls allow secure communication without collapsing boundaries. On the identity side, a single tenant and standardized role definitions keep access predictable as people change teams. Be intentional about which services live centrally, like DNS, logging, and key management, and expose them through controlled interfaces. This preserves autonomy while preventing a sprawl of conflicting standards. The aim is loose coupling with strong contracts, so applications can talk safely without erasing the benefits of isolation. Auditing, logs, and activity consistency ensure that what happens across scopes can be seen and explained. Forward platform logs to a central workspace, include subscription and resource identifiers in every record, and retain data for a duration that matches your obligations. Standardize diagnostic settings in your landing zones so teams do not forget to turn them on. Pair logs with alert rules that reflect real risks, like policy denials, role changes, or mass deletions. When an incident occurs, consistent logs cut time to clarity dramatically. Visibility is not glamorous, yet it is the lever that turns questions into answers during pressure. Hierarchies evolve as organizations change, and your structure should allow safe movement. Mergers, new products, or regulatory shifts may require new branches, split subscriptions, or different policies. Establish lightweight change procedures. Propose, review, test in a sandbox, then apply with communication and rollback prepared. Keep documentation current so newcomers grasp the why as well as the what. Avoid anchoring to temporary projects. Favor durable patterns that survive leadership rotations. A governance design that expects change will handle it without drama, preserving trust while the business grows and shifts. A governance-ready structure blends clarity, control, and autonomy into a hierarchy you can explain on a whiteboard. Subscriptions carry costs and isolate risk. Management groups roll out shared intent, and inheritance makes rules travel with minimal friction. Budgets, quotas, and separation by environment keep operations steady, while landing zones and central services accelerate safe delivery. Cross-subscription connectivity and unified identity create a platform that feels cohesive without becoming monolithic. With steady logging and an openness to change, the hierarchy stays useful as teams and goals evolve. Build it once with care, and it will quietly support everything you ship. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.